Among history's most remarkable figures, John F. Kennedy was born on May 29, 1917, in his family's home in Brookline, Massachusetts, a suburb of Boston. His father, Joseph P. Kennedy, was a successful businessman with interests in property, banking, finance, and the film industry. His mother, Rose Fitzgerald, was a socialite and philanthropist who came from a well-known political family. Rose was a homemaker and stayed at home to raise her 9 children. John, affectionately called Jack within the family, was the second of 9 children. He had a complicated relationship with his older brother Joe Jr. and with his father. While Joe Jr. and their father were confident and outgoing, Jack was quiet and introspective, taking after his mother Rose in terms of intellectual curiosity and love for reading. From an early age, Jack was drawn to books about great civilizations and heroes, especially stories about King Arthur and his knights. Jack's health was fragile from the start. He had frequent illnesses, including scarlet fever and chickenpox. He was often underweight and had digestive problems, which kept him in and out of the hospital. Despite this, Jack was encouraged by his father to participate in sports like football, though he struggled with his health. The Kennedy family was devoutly Catholic, and Jack was raised with strong religious values, attending Mass regularly. Joe and Rose Kennedy made sure their children received an excellent education, and Jack was sent to Catholic schools before moving on to prestigious boarding schools. He was often compared to his older brother, Joe Jr., who excelled in sports and academics, creating a sense of competition between them. John F. Kennedy's education was marked by both challenges and achievements. He attended several schools during his youth, and though his academic performance was often less than stellar, he showed early signs of intellectual curiosity. His parents, especially his mother Rose, believed strongly in the value of education and ensured that all of their children received formal schooling. Jack was sent to a number of schools, starting with local Catholic schools before attending prestigious boarding schools. At the age of 14, Jack was sent to Shoei, a Connecticut preparatory academy. Though he was not a standout student, Jack was known for his charm and wit. He struggled academically, particularly in subjects like math and foreign languages, but he excelled in history and English. Jack often showed more interest in sports, social activities, and his friends than in his schoolwork. His grades were average, but his intelligence and ability to understand complex subjects were evident. Jack's teachers noticed his potential, even though his performance didn't always reflect it. He had a natural ability to grasp concepts quickly and was an impressive writer, especially when it came to English. Despite his challenges, Jack's charisma made him well-liked by his peers, and he formed close friendships with fellow students. After Choate, Jack went on to Harvard University in 1935. While at Harvard, Jack's health continued to be a concern. He spent much of his time socializing and engaging in extracurricular activities rather than focusing on his studies. Still, he managed to do well enough to graduate. He even earned a spot on the dean's list in his final year. Jack's time at Harvard helped him mature and focus more on his academic work, particularly in history and political science. His senior thesis, which later became a best-selling book, marked a turning point in his academic career. John F. Kennedy's interest in politics began to take shape during his time at Harvard. While his father, Joseph Kennedy, had always pushed him toward a career in politics, it was during his studies that Jack developed his own passion for public service. His experiences and observations of the political landscape, especially in Europe, would lay the groundwork for his future political career. In 1939, Jack traveled to Europe and witnessed firsthand the growing tensions leading up to World War II. His observations of the rise of fascism and the policies of European leaders had a significant impact on his views. This exposure shaped his belief in the importance of United States intervention in global affairs. Jack was determined to fight against the spread of totalitarian regimes, and he began to see the world as a place where the United States could play an active role in promoting freedom and democracy. When the United States entered World War II in 1941, Jack, despite his ongoing health problems, enlisted in the Navy. His family's strong sense of duty and the legacy of service in their bloodline pushed him to serve his country. He was assigned to command a patrol torpedo boat in the Pacific Theater, where he showed remarkable bravery. During a mission on August 1 Est, 1942, Jack's boat, PT-109, was struck by a Japanese destroyer. The collision killed 2 of the crew members, and the remaining men were stranded in the Pacific Ocean for hours. Jack Kennedy's leadership during this time, swimming to an island with his injured crew and ensuring their survival, became legendary. He was later awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Medal for his bravery, cementing his reputation as a war hero. John F. Kennedy's political career began after he returned from World War II, having already earned recognition for his bravery. Encouraged by his father, Joe Kennedy, Jack entered the political arena in 1946, running for a seat in the United States House of Representatives. Despite being relatively unknown, his family's political influence and his own charm helped him win the election. At the age of 29, Jack became a congressman, representing Massachusetts in the House. During his time in the House, Jack quickly made a name for himself as a young, dynamic politician who stood out for his intelligence, wit, and ability to connect with people. His political career was supported and often guided by his father, who helped fund his campaigns and build his public image. Jack's progressive stance on various issues, such as labor rights and economic policies, won him support from various political groups. In 1952, Jack moved up to run for a seat in the United States Senate. His Senate campaign was a tough challenge, but he again relied on his family's resources and his growing reputation. He won the Senate seat by a narrow margin, and from there, his national profile grew. Jack's reputation as a skilled speaker and his ability to connect with the public set him apart from other politicians of his time. By 1960, John F. Kennedy was ready for the ultimate political challenge, running for President of the United States. His presidential campaign was groundbreaking in its use of television. The first ever televised debates between Kennedy and his Republican opponent, Richard Nixon, showcased Jack's charisma and charm. His strong performance in the debates helped propel him to the White House, where he was elected the youngest president in United States history at the age of 43. John F. Kennedy's presidency, although brief, was one of the most impactful in American history. Sworn in on January 20, 1961, he became the youngest person ever elected to the office at the age of 43. Kennedy's administration was marked by numerous significant events, both in foreign policy and domestic reform. One of his most defining moments came in October of 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis. This 13-day standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Kennedy's diplomatic efforts, which included a naval blockade of Cuba and negotiations with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev, ultimately defused the crisis and averted catastrophe. This was a major achievement in Kennedy's foreign policy and is considered one of his greatest successes. At home, Kennedy championed domestic reforms aimed at improving the quality of life for Americans. His New Frontier program focused on issues like poverty, civil rights, and economic growth. Kennedy pushed for increased federal funding for education and healthcare and worked to expand Social Security. He also took steps to strengthen labor unions and provide better opportunities for workers. Despite facing significant opposition in Congress, he managed to secure several important pieces of legislation, such as the establishment of the Peace Corps and the initiation of the space race, which would lead to the Apollo moon landing in 1969. Kennedy also made strides in civil rights, though his efforts were initially cautious. It was only after violent events like the Birmingham Campaign and the March on Washington that he took stronger public stances against segregation and racial injustice. His push for civil rights legislation laid the foundation for the eventual passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 under President Lyndon B. Johnson. However, Kennedy's presidency was not without challenges. He faced continued tensions with the Soviet Union, a growing conflict in Vietnam, and domestic political opposition, particularly from conservative groups. John F. Kennedy's personal life was marked by both joy and tragedy. In the early years of his public life, Jack was known for his charm, charisma, and many romantic relationships. His social life was as well known as his political ambitions. However, in the early 1950s, Kennedy met Jacqueline Lee Bouvier, who would become his wife. Despite their significant age difference, Jackie and Jack quickly became close. She was an intelligent and accomplished woman, and her beauty and poise captivated him. After a year of dating, Jack proposed to Jackie, and they married on September 12, 1953, in a highly publicized ceremony in Newport, Rhode Island. Their marriage, however, was complicated by Jack's ongoing infidelities. Although Jackie was deeply devoted to Jack, she struggled with his numerous affairs, which caused tension in their relationship. Despite this, Jackie remained stoic and focused on their family life, raising their children, Caroline and John Jar, together. However, the couple's life was marred by personal tragedies, the first being the miscarriage of their first child in 1956, followed by the stillbirth of their daughter, Arabella, in 1957. These losses deeply affected both Jack and Jackie, but they managed to find joy with the birth of their daughter, Caroline, in the same year. In 1960, the Kennedy son, John Jor, was born, completing their family. However, tragedy struck again in the summer of 1963 when Jackie gave birth to their third child, Patrick, who tragically died just 2 days later. These personal losses weighed heavily on the Kennedy family, and Jack's health issues continued to complicate their lives. Amidst the political pressures of his presidency, Jack's health was always a concern. He suffered from chronic back pain and underwent multiple surgeries, making it difficult for him to keep up with the demands of being president. Despite his struggles, Jackie remained his closest ally, offering unwavering support during his many health crises. John F. Kennedy's legacy is one of both admiration and reflection. Despite his presidency lasting just under 3 years, his impact on American politics and global affairs remains profound. Kennedy's vision for the United States was shaped by his belief in the country's role as a global leader and his dedication to creating a better, fairer society. His vision of a new frontier inspired many Americans to strive for greater equality, social progress, and economic opportunity. His advocacy for civil rights and commitment to improving the lives of the poor laid the groundwork for policies that would be expanded upon in the following decades. His foreign policy initiatives, particularly in Latin America and Africa, marked the beginning of the United States. Efforts to counter the spread of communism through foreign aid and the establishment of peacekeeping programs like the Peace Corps. The Apollo space program, which Kennedy initiated, became a hallmark of his presidency and is seen as a defining achievement of the 20th century. The successful landing of an American astronaut on the moon in 1969 was the culmination of his ambitious vision for the United States. Space exploration. Kennedy's personal style and charisma also contributed to his lasting influence. His ability to communicate effectively with the public, especially through television, changed the way American presidents connected with citizens. His speeches, particularly his inaugural address in 1961, continue to inspire generations of leaders. However, Kennedy's legacy is also marred by the tragedy of his assassination. His sudden death on November 22, 1963, shocked the nation and the world, leading to an outpouring of grief. His assassination left an enduring sense of loss and nostalgia for what could have been. The legacy of Kennedy's presidency has been shaped by both his achievements and the potential he represented for change, and it continues to inspire political leaders and citizens alike. John F. Kennedy's life and presidency, though tragically short, left an indelible mark on the United States and the world. He came to power during a time of great political, social, and cultural change, and he managed to inspire the American public with his vision of hope, progress, and service. His presidency, defined by bold decisions such as the Cuban Missile Crisis and the establishment of the Peace Corps, continues to be remembered as a time when the country was filled with optimism and possibility. Kennedy's efforts to advance civil rights, his vision for space exploration, and his call for global peace have shaped the course of American history in ways that still resonate today. His ability to connect with the public through his speeches, charisma, and youthful energy made him a symbol of the American dream. Kennedy's tragic assassination left a lasting void, but his ideals and legacy live on through the many policies and programs he set in motion. He is often remembered not just for what he accomplished, but for the hope and inspiration he instilled in millions of people, particularly the younger generation who saw him as a beacon of change. Despite the challenges and controversies that arose during and after his presidency, Kennedy's impact remains undeniable. His legacy continues to influence United States politics, international relations, and the national consciousness. From the space race to the fight for civil rights, Kennedy's vision continues to inspire new generations of leaders. What do you think about John F. Kennedy's presidency and legacy? Do you believe his ideals would have shaped the nation differently if he had not been assassinated? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more historical insights. Thank you very much for watching.